Welcome to the First Nations Child and Family Services and Jordan's Principal Settlement Removed Child Class Claim Form walkthrough video. This video was created to help guide you step by step as you fill in your claim form for the Removed Child Class, or Claim Form A. If you are submitting a claim form for a removed child who has passed away, please see the video for Claim Form B, representative of a removed child who has died. Before we get started, there are a couple of things you should know about. You or the person you are completing the claim form for as a personal representative may be eligible as both a removed child and a removed child family class member. If that describes your situation, just know you'll need to fill out separate forms for each of those classes. Filling out a claim form can be an emotional experience, bringing up a lot of memories. You don't have to fill it all out at one time. You can take breaks and come back to things as you feel ready. If you need additional help, you can call the administrator. They can answer your questions or connect you with a claims helper. And if you feel you need wellness and mental health support, you can reach out to someone through these free services, which are available 24 hours a day. All right, let's start your claim form. This is Claim Form A. Claim Form A is the form you will use to submit a claim under the Removed Child class. Every person must submit their own claim. The exception is if you are a legally appointed personal representative who is submitting on behalf of a person under disability, then you complete this form, including Part 5 on behalf of the removed child. If you are submitting a claim on behalf of a removed child who has died, please use Claim Form B, available at fnchildclaims.ca. Let's start by defining who may be eligible as a removed child under the settlement. A removed child is someone who is a First Nations person and was removed from their home as a child, someone under the age of majority while the child or their caregiving parents or caregiving grandparents were ordinarily resident on reserve in Canada or anywhere in the Yukon. This means the removed child or their parent or grandparent were living on reserve most of the year. If this doesn't describe your experience or the experience of the person you are completing the form for as their personal representative, or if you want more information about the various definitions, visit fnchildclaims.ca. And we'll explain exactly what age of majority means a little bit later in the video. A removed child is someone removed from their home by child welfare authorities or voluntarily placed into care between April 1, 1991 and March 31, 2022. There are some important eligibility requirements you will need to meet under the terms of this settlement. The removed child's placement must have been funded by Indigenous Services Canada. Removals from the Northwest Territories and Nunavut are not covered under this settlement agreement. The removed child can be living in the Northwest Territories and Nunavut now, but they will not be eligible if they were living in those territories when they were removed. To learn more about eligibility, check out the eligibility information tool at fnchildclaims.ca or call the administrator. The deadline to submit your claim form depends on the age of the removed child. The settlement uses the term age of majority. The age of majority varies by province and territory. In some cases, it is 18, and in other areas, it is 19. You will need to check to make sure how this applies to the claim. When it comes to the deadline to submit the claim form, if the removed child has already reached the age of majority, they have 3 years from the date the claims period opened to submit a claim. This means the claim needs to be submitted by March 10, 2028. If the removed child is under the age of majority when the claims period opens, they will have 3 years from the date they reach the age of majority to submit a claim. A removed child can submit a claim for compensation as early as 2 years before reaching the age of majority, but they cannot receive their compensation money until they reach the age of majority. The administrator won't accept claims from anyone younger than 2 years before the age of majority. For example, if the removed child is 13 years old on March 10, 2025 and lives in Ontario, they will have 3 years from the day they turn 18 to submit a claim. As you can see, there are multiple deadlines depending on your situation. If you have any questions, reach out to the administrator to make sure you don't miss the deadline. The form officially starts on page 2. Part 1 applies to the removed child. This might be you, or if you are the personal representative of a person under disability, it is the person you are completing the form on behalf of. Part 2 is contact information. This includes the address and other contact information for the administrator to reach you, whether you're completing the form for yourself or you are a personal representative completing the form for a person under disability. Part 3 provides instructions on the valid identification you will need to submit your claim. Part 4 is signed and dated by the person completing the claim. Part 5 is a section specifically for the personal representative of a person under disability. If you are completing your own claim, you do not need to fill out this section. Part 1 is where you fill in basic information for the removed child: name, birth name if it's different, and date of birth. Enter the date of birth using the numbers for the month, day, and year they were born in that order. Make sure the name and date of birth match the ID you provide in Part 3. If you have an Indian registration number and social insurance number, you can add them too. You can submit without this, but having this information may help the administrator process your claim. Part 2 is where you put your contact information. This is where you include your mailing address. Be sure to include a phone number and, if you have one, an email address. That way the administrator can still contact you if you move. Your contact info is even more important if your mailing address listed here is temporary. For example, if you are staying in a correctional or medical facility or a public place like a hotel or a friendship center. In some cases, you may be staying with someone and are using their address. If this describes your situation, please be sure to add the name of the place where you're staying. Even if you're staying with a family member, please add their name to help the administrator get in touch with you if it's needed. And if your contact information changes, please call the administrator right away. This is important because if the administrator can't reach you, there could be delays in processing your claim and receiving your compensation. Part 3 of the form asks you to attach one piece of government identification for the removed child. Accepted ID includes anything on this list. While you only need one piece of ID, it is a good idea to provide multiple pieces to make it easier to confirm the removed child's identity, and it's especially good to provide a photo ID. You can also find this list at fnchildclaims.ca/identification. Attach a photocopy, scan, or photo of your identification. Never send the originals. Now we'll move into Part 4, which is a privacy release and acknowledgement. Your privacy is important, and the administrator is committed to protecting the information you provide. That said, processing a claim may require others to be involved, such as the Government of Canada, Class Counsel, third-party assessors, the Settlement Implementation Committee, claims helpers, and child welfare authorities. In cases with competing claims or multiple people claiming to be personal representatives of a removed child, information may be shared with an appointed personal representative if required under the claims process. It's important you read this page carefully and make sure you are comfortable with what it says. By signing Part 4, you are acknowledging and agreeing that, in certain circumstances, the administrator or child welfare authorities may need to share your information to process your claim. You are also acknowledging that the administrator, claims helper, and third-party assessors don't represent Canada or provide legal advice, and that the information you are providing is true to the best of your knowledge. You also understand you might be asked for additional information needed to process your claim. It is very important to sign and date your claim form. An unsigned or undated form will lead to delays in the administrator's ability to review your claim. The form needs to be signed. If you do have questions, you can contact the administrator at no cost. If you are submitting a claim as a personal representative for a removed child who is a person under disability, Part 5 is the section that needs to be filled out, but only if the removed child is a person under disability. If you are completing your own claim, you do not have to fill in this part. A person under disability is a person unable to manage or make reasonable judgments or make decisions with respect to their affairs because of mental incapacity, and has a personal representative who has been appointed according to provincial, territorial, or federal legislation. It is a personal representative's job to manage or make judgments or decisions on behalf of a person under disability who is an eligible claimant. This might include managing someone's finances, for example. First thing you'll need is a document showing you have been legally appointed as the removed child's personal representative to manage their property and finances. It could be a signed power of attorney or protection mandate. This would come from the province or territory where the removed child lives. It could also be a provincial or territorial appointment order, including appointment of a public guardian and trustee, or a federal appointment order for the administration of property. Then, as the personal representative, you'll also need to provide a copy of one piece of your government-issued ID to the administrator. If you are a personal representative who has been appointed to represent this claimant as part of your job, for example, a public guardian and trustee, you also have to provide the name of the organization you work for. Again, remember to only send scans, photocopies, or photos of ID and other documents. Never send the originals. Okay, you filled out all of your information and gathered all your support materials. Now, how do you submit everything? There are 4 ways. The first is online, which is the fastest way to get your claim in. You do this by visiting the online portal at portal.fnchildclaims.ca. You'll create an account and then be directed to submit all claim form information online. Once you have completed all your information, you'll upload a copy of your identification and other documents and submit. The second way is to fill out the PDF claim form online and then either add your digital signature or print it to add your signature and date. You can also print the claim form and complete it by hand. Either way, don't forget to sign and date your claim form at Part 4. After you've completed it, you can sign it and scan it along with your identification and other documents. You can then email it to claims@admin.fnchildclaims.ca. You can also fax it to 1-416-815-2723. And of course, you can always mail everything to Settlement Administrator, P.O. Box 2500, Station, Maine, Newmarket, Ontario, L3Y 0H9. Please do not courier your claim forms because the administrator cannot accept courier deliveries. The important things are to fill out your claim form completely, include copies of your ID or other required documents, sign and date your claim form, and send everything in before the deadline, which depends on how old you were at the time the claims period opened. Remember, you don't have to do this by yourself if you don't want to. You can call the administrator with questions, and if you need more support, they can connect you to a claims helper who can provide one-on-one assistance to help you complete your claim form. If you need wellness and mental health support at any time, reach out to Hope for Wellness or the Kids Help phone line. We hope this has been helpful and that you have the information you need to submit your claim or know where to go if you need additional support.